Welcome back to That Handicapping Show at bloodhorse.com. I'm Tom LaMarra, joined by Pete Denk once again. And on the show today, we'll be looking at the $400,000 Holy Bull Stakes Grade 3 for 3-year-olds at Gulfstream Park. Mile and a 16th, short run into the first turn, and a field of 10 in a pretty good race. Looks like there's lots of ways to go in here. Not sure what the odds will be on the probable favorite, Shanghai Bobby, who drew the rail. But it looks like a good race to maybe spread out or look for somebody else on top. I think Pete agrees with me, and he's going to go through his selections for the race.
Yeah, very short run into the first turn, as you mentioned. This is a bizarre track configuration. The post position stats indicate you do not want to be outside of the 7 hole here. Really low winning percentage outside that. I think any one of 5 horses could win this race. Luckily, they're all inside that post position. You mentioned Shanghai Bobby. He's got to be 2-1 or less here, I think. You know, he's the 2-year-old champion. He's undefeated. There's probably reasons to go with him, but I think a lot of people are actually going to look to beat him here. I'm going to look to beat him. We have a bunch of highly rated 3-year-olds coming in this race, making their first start of the year. Frack Daddy, Burn Identity, Dewey Square, and of course Shanghai Bobby. You know, any of them can win. This is a time of year when horses are taking big steps forward. I decided, instead of trying to guess which one of them is going to fire first time out, I'm going to go with the horse that I've picked on the show before, and I've actually written up in my locksmith analysis 2 or 3 times now, and that's It's My Lucky Day. His last race in the Gulfstream Park Derby was really good. On Brisk figures, he actually almost towers on his speed rating.
Yes, he does.
I don't know, you know, the run-up at Gulfstream was a little bit weird in the 1-turn miles. Perhaps the race isn't quite as fast as it looks on paper, but it's really fast. And if you watch the video of that race, this horse did it easily. You know, he runs with his head a little bit low to the ground, pretty relaxed manner, but he was tracking some really fast splits in that race. You could tell his rider that day, you know, didn't realize how fast the race was because he was looking back. He had the horse under a hold, and he drew off pretty much under his own power in a hand ride. I thought it was a really impressive run, and I think he's going to get underestimated here. You know, and I'm not playing him just off the Gulfstream Derby. I've liked this horse for a while. I loved his win in the Foolish Pleasure at Calder. I picked him in the Delta Jackpot. That didn't work out.
Yes, you did.
But you know, Delta's a really different kind of track. You know, horses kind of have to hurry up to get position. You can't be wide, and he didn't look comfortable to me that day at all. But you know, speed figures are, I often say speed figures are over bet. Well, in this case, the high figure horse isn't going to get bet, and I think
I would say that's correct.
You know, and I think that's one of the times you can almost show a flat bet profit by playing the high figure horse when the public doesn't believe in him and lets him go at 7-1, 8-1, which I think that's what this horse probably is.
All right, your horse has a brisk speed figure of 111 for the Gulfstream Park Derby. The next highest of the group is 103s, shared by the second place finisher, and now I am going to have to say the horse's name or try, Senor Kikayano.
Close.
And Shanghai Bobby, who has a couple 103s. I do like your horse. I think, you know, that was a 1-turn mile. He's stretching back out, so he'll probably have to get out there to find some position, but if he does, I think he's clearly in the mix at a price. I went with Burn Identity. Hasn't run since the Delta Jackpot. Interesting race. He lost to Golden Sense, of course, who came back and won in California, but the chart really makes or the comment line makes no mention about the trouble that the horse got into. He really didn't have anywhere to go until the stretch. He actually got shuffled back to 9th inside. He finally got out and was closing pretty well in the stretch to run a good second. Behind Golden Sense, been training extremely well at Palm Meadows. Drew the 4-hole, and Paco Lopez stays, and actually he jumps off of your horse. He's ridden It's My Lucky Day the last 2 times. Maybe he was already committed to Kelly Breen's horse, which happens a lot. But I do like Burn Identity if he's able to get some kind of clearance this time.
Yeah, and I like what Kelly Breen's done with Burn Identity. You know, he was sprinting in New York against the top members of the generation last year, and he was not quite fast enough for a horse like Shanghai Bobby at the time. But They decided to go for the Delta Jackpot. They gave him a little bit of time. And I do think he ran really well in the Delta Jackpot. As you mentioned, there was a lot of trouble. And
he did. Real quick, Frack Daddy, like him too. I think he's poised for a pretty good return. Lost to Uncaptured by a neck in the Kentucky Jockey Club. And again, even though we didn't pick Shanghai Bobby, we clearly realized that he's undefeated. And if he's anything like he was last year and he moves forward, he should be right there.
Yeah, I think we should also mention Dewey Square. He's a horse that I think
Dale Romans.
He could be a major player in the Triple Crown Trail this year. I didn't pick him in this race just because I don't love this configuration for him. I think he's going to be a little bit off the pace in finishing. It makes sense that this horse is prepping here, but his third in the Kentucky Jockey Club is a pretty underrated performance. I think he's probably every bit as good as Frack Daddy and Uncaptured horses he finished behind, and he's got a pedigree that says he's going to improve at 3. I like the horse a lot. I'm just not picking him in this particular race, but this is going to be a great race to watch.
Great race to watch, and perhaps a great race to bet. Of course, we don't know what the odds are at this particular point when the show is being taped, but make sure that you watch the odds because there probably will be some really good value in this race. So that's the Holy Bull on Saturday at Gulfstream Park. And again, we thank Brisnet.com for the past performances. For Pete, I'm Tom. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.